Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. I'm laughing because after saying I wasn't gonna make any videos on the Oscars, I'm making my second video about the Oscars because the Oscars just keeps on getting more and more racist and problematic as the week goes on. So who knows what's gonna come out about the Oscars tomorrow. Might be making another video. This video is going to focus on two things that have kind of happened or come out or whatever about the Oscars since they aired on Sunday. And the first one is going to be about Patricia Arquette's Feminist comments. Patricia Arquette, she won the Best Actress Oscar for her role in the film Boyhood, which was another paragon of whiteness and an ode to white childhood and the white male experience, which is somehow supposed to be universal for all of us to relate to. She won the Best Actress award, and when she went up there, she gave this speech about feminism. Before I even get into that, I do want to point out that Boyhood, which was directed by Richard Linklater and is set in Texas, has also come under fire for being racist because despite being set in Texas, the film has 0 Hispanics. And when I say Hispanics, I actually mean Mexicans because I have some demographics for you here. As of 2010, 45% of Texas residents are Hispanic, 45%. And as of 2007, Hispanics accounted for more than half of all births, 50.2%, while non-Hispanic whites accounted for just 34%. So Texas is a very rapidly changing state. And it's really being made browner and browner as time goes on. So a lot of people are saying, how is it possible that Richard Linklater made a movie set in Texas? He filmed there for 12 years because the whole concept of Boyhood is that he picked these actors. He wanted to film, an accurate, realistic portrayal of a young boy's life. So he cast his actors, and then he filmed them for 12 years. They pretty much did like some really extreme method acting where they kind of inhabited these roles for 12 years. Which a lot of people are saying, that's why Patricia Arquette fucking won this award, because that is motherfucking commitment. I will give her that. But a lot of people are saying, how is it possible that you have a movie that's set in a rapidly changing demographic where you do not include any Hispanics? Literally none. The whole cast, everyone in the movie is white. And you saw the same exact criticisms being made of Spike Jonze's Her a few years ago, which starred Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson and was set in a modern version. It was like a futuristic, sci-fi type of thing. It was set in a modern version of LA, and it didn't have any blacks or Hispanics, no minorities. And I want to say that it's projected that in 10 to 15 years, LA is going to be a predominantly Hispanic city, just like Texas. So a lot of people are saying, this is a white fantasy, which I've made other videos about. How can you have a film that is supposed to be hyper realistic and this and that, but it's in actuality it's a white fantasy. It's a white safe space where these white people they can pretend that the rest of us minorities don't exist. And of course, I read a really good article about it that I will link for you guys. And in the comment section, you had tons of bleeding heart white tears crying about, I live in Texas and I don't know any Mexicans and I don't know any Hispanics and I don't know any black people. Like, yeah, I'm sure you don't. It's well known that your average white person has a 70 to 80% completely white circle. So they live in predominantly like all white neighborhoods. They send their kids to all white schools. They work jobs where they're all white, But it's like, at the same time, you people go out to restaurants. You people go see movies. You people, it said that Patricia Arquette's character in the movie taught at the University of Texas, which has a 32% Hispanic or Latino student body, which means that 1 out of 3 students in her class in the movie should have been Hispanic or Latino, not all white. These are white fantasies where white people can go to escape. Oh, I don't want to hear about Ferguson. I don't want to hear about these Mexicans. I just want to live in this white bubble where everything's white all the time. So Boyhood is already coming under fire for that. So with all that aside, Patricia Arquette, you know, she wins the award, everybody's cheering, and everybody's so happy, and she gets up on the stage, and this is what she says. I'm going to go ahead and read some of it for you. Her actual speech wasn't bad. She decided that this was going to be her opportunity to speak out for wage equality. So she goes, to every woman who gave birth, to every taxpayer and citizen of this nation, we have fought for everybody else's equal rights. It's our time to have wage equality once and for all and equal rights for women in the United States of America. So this in and of itself was a little bit problematic because she does say to every woman who gave birth. Well, what about women that haven't given birth? I'm a woman that hasn't given birth. What about women that can't give birth? What about transgender women? She was already walking that line. To every woman who gave birth, to every taxpayer and citizen of this nation. Again, you just won an award for a movie that didn't have any Mexicans or Hispanics. We're already embroiled in the midst of a huge immigration, debacle, especially with regards to Mexican immigrants. So that seemed a bit deliberate, a bit of a jab at illegal immigrants, in my opinion. It's every taxpayer and citizen of this nation. Well, what about the people that aren't taxpayers and citizens? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then she goes on to say, we have fought for everybody else's equal rights. It is our time to have wage equality once and for all and equal rights for women in the United States of America. So I think we can all say that we all want equal rights for women in the United States of America, especially after those Sony leaks, which I do have a video about those, which I will link if you guys want, where some of these Sony execs were discussing how they do pay their female actresses less than their big name men. So I understand, where she was coming from, especially as an actress, as a female actress, who probably, knows for a fact that she isn't getting paid as much as her male co-parts. However, we're getting into oppression Olympics here. Just like I made in my video on Oppression Olympics, a lot of people seem to have this idea that we can only fight for one thing at a time. And especially white people seem to have this idea because white people really have trouble with grasping the concept of intersectionality. Because for a lot of white people, especially, straight, cis, upper class, white women like Patricia Arquette, there is no intersectionality. They are a woman. The end. Done. Bye. They are not a gay woman. They are not a woman of color. They are not a transgender woman. There are no adjectives. They are this one noun, and that's it. So it's very easy for a lot of white women, and especially white feminists, as I said in my movie, as I said in my video on feminism, it's very easy for them to look at feminism as this one thing, and you have these white feminists that say, well, feminism is not about race. Feminism is not about sexual orientation. Feminism is not about this. It's not about that. Feminism is about gender, period. And that is a symptom of privilege, and specifically white privilege, because only your white privilege, and your straight privilege for a lot of women, that don't feel like, queerness and queer activism is a part of feminism. Only your straight, heterosexual, cis, homogenous, upper class, white privilege even allows you to say something like that allows you to separate all those things out. And that's how we get into the Oppression Olympics, because you see those things as not a part of your feminism. Your feminism is strictly about gender, it's strictly about equal pay. Those other things are, other facets of oppression that don't, fit you, and you can only care about one thing at a time. So it's our time to have wage equality once and for all. We have fought for everybody else's rights. And now it's time for all you fucking queers and gays and niggers and spics and immigrants to fucking fight for us. Because intersectionality is not a thing, and none of us can care about more than one thing at once. We can only deal with this one thing. Meryl Streep stood up and cheered, which people loved because Meryl is like the queen of the universe. But, Patricia Arquette was asked to elaborate backstage on what she had said, and she pretty much she put her foot in her mouth, and she really elaborated on, her privilege. She goes, "It's time for all women in America and all the men that love women and all the gay people and all the people of color that we women," meaning we women, "that we've all fought for to fight for us now." Very separatist. Very much like feminism is white. Is white, is privileged, is straight, is time for all the men that love women to fight for us. So you're saying that men can't be feminists and that men can't be a part of your feminist movement because you're talking about men as a separate entity that have to fight for feminism. All the gay people to fight for us now. So you're saying that gay people can't be feminists, even though, God forbid, the gays can be women. Gay people can't be feminists. Gay people are not a part of your white, straight feminism. That's why they need to fight for you now. And all the people of color, because people of color are not a part of your feminism. People of color, God forbid, fucking black feminists. Well, and people of color is not a synonym for black. So God forbid black feminists, Asian feminists, Hispanic feminists, Latino feminists, Native feminists, God forbid. We are seen as something separate from her brand of white, straight, cis, upper class feminism. And this oppression Olympics, this idea that, men and gays and people of color that we've all fought for need to fight for us, it just really gives off this really disgusting implication that, well, we fought for you, so, we scratched your back, so now you need to scratch ours. Like, this is not the oppression Olympics. This is not about who's more oppressed, who's having the harder time. I definitely don't think rich, white, blonde-ass Patricia Arquette is having a harder time than me. She could suck my dick. So she really needs to just stop and think about what the fuck she said. And unfortunately, this is the mindset of a lot, if not most, of white feminists. This very us versus them, and us means white women. And there's been this really great post going around Tumblr that I will go ahead and read for you. Well, there's been a bunch of good posts. One of them said, "The times white women gathered to help people of color." And they have a bunch of pictures of, white women dressed up, in Ku Klux Klan outfits, white women that are against, integration, the Daughters of the Confederacy, and the Daughters of the Confederacy have fought to have, all types of shrines and statues and parks put in place to celebrate Confederacy. I was watching this really amazing lecture the other day on YouTube. They were talking about how Ida B. Wells, who is the mother of the modern feminist movement, she was a staunch supporter of racism and segregation. She was very into lynchings. She used to let her class of future feminists, where she taught critical feminist theory, she used to let her class of, white women go early so that they could all go attend the lynchings, okay? They're talking about a very specific, and by they I mean white women, Patricia Arquette, they're talking about a very specific sect of people that can be a part of their feminism. And if you don't fit, if you're not white, if you're not straight, if you are not cis, if you are not blonde, if you are not this, if you are not that, you are not in the club, bitch. You are not in the circle. And another great Tumblr post that I saw said that, she wants to talk about equal wages, but wage gap is greater across race than gender, which is something that I mentioned again in my On Feminism video. You have these white feminists that want to talk about the wage gap and the gender gap and equal pay, but they separate, as we just saw with Patricia Arquette, because she said specifically, men who love women and gays and people of color that we fought for, even though, bitch, you didn't fight for us. Your people wanted us to get lynched, bitch. Talking about how we need to fight for them now. But there's no type of understanding of intersectionality in the fact that race has an impact on a gender wage gap, okay? Blacks, Hispanics, and natives are paid less than white women. So when you talk about a gender gap, what exactly are you talking about? What are you talking about? Are you talking about race? Are you talking about class? What are we talking about, So Wage gap is greater across race than gender. And then they have a chart. Racial differences in wealth by household type as of 2007. You know, the gap is huge between white, non-Hispanic, and black. The gap is huge. I will post a link for you. And I also have another article here. The gender wage gap is a chasm, or chasm, however you pronounce that, for women of color in one chart. The Census Bureau released new figures showing that the average woman who works full-time year-round makes just 78% of what a man makes. Now, Patricia Arquette would want us to just stop right there. She would want us to stop there. We don't have to get any deeper into it than that. But since intersectionality is a thing, despite what Patricia Arquette wants you to believe, let's get deeper. The wage gap, you know what, I'm going to read that again. The Census Bureau released new figures showing that the average woman who works full-time year-round makes just 78% of what a man makes. But the wage gap varies even more significantly by race. White women experience that 78% figure. Native and Pacific Islander women make 65% of what white men make. African American women make 64% of what white men make. And Hispanic women make just 54% of what white men make. So when Patricia Arquette goes up onto the stage and she talks about the wage gap and equal pay, she's talking about how she needs her 78% to be the same as the white man's 100%. She's not worried about our little 65% and 54% because to her, those are problems for people of color who need to put down our picket signs and pick up Feminism Now picket signs. Really, really, really exemplary of the issues and the inherent bias, the inherent racism, the inherent, what would the word be? Homophobia. What would it be? Transphobia. Like, I was going to say something really made up. Transphobia. Just tons of inherent. She said men who love women, which really rubbed me the wrong way. Like, what about the women who love women? And then she tried to, like, come back and be like the gays. Like none of that has. She basically said that none of that, again, has a place in her brand of feminism. She looks at all those things as separate. And people have been trying to talk to her about it on Twitter today. And instead, sounding like everybody's favorite white female rapper, she doubled down with some even more ignorant tweets, you know, about everyone needs to be talking about equal pay. And it's like, no, but people are trying to get you to see that intersectionality is a thing and what you said was offensive, you know. But typical white woman, I'm not wrong. White, so I gotta be right. Complexion for protection. Bitch, how about you fucking worry about how your movie that you just won that Oscar for doesn't have any fucking Mexicans, and you gave a whole speech about legal taxpayers and this and that bullshit. Like, what are you talking about, Patricia Arquette? What are you talking about? White feminism. Problematic. Moving on. The second thing I wanted to talk about before I ended this video, the second, you know, racist bullshit that came out of the Oscars. So Zendaya, who I made a video about, she was originally supposed to play Aaliyah in that Aaliyah movie. She ended up dropping out because of the backlash. And they gave it to Alexandra Shipp, who's becoming Hollywood's new favorite mulatto. They've cast her in this upcoming Daria movie coming out, and they cast her to play Young Storm in this new X-Men movie made by Bryan Singer, the rapist, which I definitely won't be seeing. Zendaya, I saw this really funny Tumblr post that said that ever since Zendaya dropped out of that Aaliyah movie, God has allowed her to, like, move up to, like, being a black, or like a real black girl type thing, because Zendaya has said some really nasty things before about being biracial and how her mom is white and all this, like, really gross, disgusting stuff. But ever since she dropped out of that Aaliyah thing, it seems like she's really taken a lot of the criticism to heart and has matured a bit, which I do like. So she wore faux dreadlocks to the Oscars. And faux dreadlocks are kind of a thing. One of my really good friends had them last week. I think they're super cute. Clearly I have real dreadlocks, so it's whatever. But I think they're super cute. She wore faux dreadlocks. She looked really, really nice. Her makeup was very nice. Her hair looked really good. And she gave a statement about why she wore them. She felt like, you know, at the time where the racial climate is what it is, and especially around black people and our hair and this and that, she wanted to show, you know, showcase a natural hairstyle, you know, as a black woman, and she said some really nice things. Giuliana Rancic, who's on the Fashion Police, said that Zendaya looked like she smelled like weed and patchouli, which Zendaya found to be extremely fucking offensive. And she ended up writing this post on Instagram, which I will read to you. The post is kind of long, but I will probably won't read the same thing. There's a fine line between what is funny and what is disrespectful. Someone said something about my hair at the Oscars that left me in awe. Not because I was relishing in rave outfit reviews, but because I was hit with ignorant slurs and pure disrespect. To say that an 18-year-old young woman with locks must smell of patchouli oil or weed is not only a large stereotype, but outrageously offensive. I usually don't feel the need to respond to negative things, but certain remarks just cannot go unchecked. I'll let you know that my father, brother, best childhood friend, and little cousins all have locks. And then she goes on to name some famous black people with locks. Ava DuVernay, who directed Selma, Ladisi, 9-time Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter, Terry McMillan, the author, Vincent Brown, professor of African-American Studies at Harvard. You know, she goes on to list some people, as well as many other men and women wear locks, none of which smell of marijuana. And then she got to the really good stuff. There's already harsh criticism of African American hair in society without the help of ignorant people who choose to judge others based on the curl of their hair. My wearing my hair in locks on an Oscar red carpet was to showcase them in a positive light and to remind people of color that our hair is good enough. I suggest some people listen to India Ari's, I'm reading too fast, I am not my hair, and contemplate a little before opening your mouth so quickly to judge. So, Zendaya has apparently gotten her, mulatto Negro wake-up call, where she sees that in the eyes of these white people, she is a black nigger, just like motherfucking the rest of us. Because Giuliana Rancic made this remark about Zendaya, that Zendaya's hair, that her locks probably smell like patchouli and weed. However, when Kylie Jenner, little white girl, wore fake dreadlocks maybe last month or a few weeks ago, Giuliana Rancic was raving about how beautiful they are and how wonderful and how they're cool and hip and edgy, and she never let not one word fly out of her mouth about how Kylie Jenner looked like she probably smelled like patchouli and weed, even though Kylie Jenner probably does smell like patchouli and weed because, you know, she's one of them little Kardashian brats. Like, I'm pretty sure she be getting high. like I'm, you know. So it's like a lot of people are saying that what she said was racist. Because here you have a white girl that wore dreadlocks, and she gets heralded as cool, hip, and edgy. And then you have a black girl who wore dreadlocks, and you said she looks like she smells like weed. This goes back to my videos on the little white girl that wore the braids, and my black girls are poppin' video, and all my many, many videos about cultural appropriation. You have people that say, oh, it's just hair, or it's just, you know, a hairstyle, or it's just fashion, or it's just this, or it's just that. This is a prime example of how black shit, black culture, black features, black hair is seen as something less than on a black body and is seen as cool and edgy and hip on a white body. This is literally like, I'm starting to like clap. Like, this is exactly what we're talking about when we talk about this, because here you have someone who, you know, is really on a world stage, you know. This is a famous person that's on, you know, fucking the Fashion Police. Their biggest night of the year is Oscar night, where they're, you know, they put people in Grammy night, where they put people in that 360-degree thing. Like, I used to watch this show. Me and my mom used to watch it. You put people in this 360-degree thing, and they talk to them about their hair and their makeup and their jewelry and what they're wearing and this and that. And you have her, this white woman, specifically come out and say that the same exact hairstyle is cool and hip and edgy on a white girl and is, you know, smelling like weed and patchouli on a black girl. It's a stereotype. It's a harmful stereotype, and it just goes to show how people have these. Do I think that Giuliana racist? Do I think that Giuliana Rancic is a racist? No. Do I think that Giuliana Rancic has clearly some subconscious biases and some implicit biases in her mind about black people and black girls and black women? Yes, and I say this all the time. Somebody asked me in the comments on another YouTube video, Do I think that all white people are racist? I said, my long answer would be that we are all born into a racist, white supremacist society. So, and we're all internalizing from the time that we're small racist concepts and ideas. So I feel like we're all racist and we have to really work hard to unlearn those concepts, However, since white people are a part of the dominant group in this country, yes, a lot of them, all of them, even if they wouldn't say I'm racist, even if they don't hate black people, they carry implicit biases and they have a subconscious bias and they have things that they think about us, period, without even, you ain't even know. So I thought it was really cool that Zendaya did that. I thought it was really interesting that she fucking called her ass out on Instagram, which Giuliana Rancic quickly hopped on fucking Twitter like all these people do. Oh my god, I never intended to be racist. I was just trying to say that she looked like a hippie and this, like, no, if you were trying to say that she looked like a hippie, you would have said that. You would have said she looks like a hippie. That's not what you said. You said she looks like she smells like weed. And her locks were really nice. Full locks have a very smooth look to them. I really don't know how else to describe it. I'll include a link so you guys can go look at the pictures. But they have a smooth look, unlike Kylie Jenner's, which just looked like some nappy, raggedy shit on her head, which the white girl, Giuliana, thought was so edgy and cool. So, like, the professionally done, smooth, tight, cute locks on the black girl look like she smells like weed. But the ratty hot mess on the white girl looks hip and edgy. But then you go on your Twitter account and say, I would never say anything racist. Oh no, my intention. Because apparently white people have never heard the term that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And you can have all the fucking non-racist intentions in the world, but you need to work on that shit, white folks. Because this Oscars this year was just a hot fucking mess. And I'm done. And apparently a lot of people are done. I read a really great article that actually said why I'm breaking up with the Oscars, which I will include for you guys. There will be tons of links. Please check them all out. Thank you guys for watching. Second video on Oscars. It's weird. We'll see what else comes the rest of the week. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.